Today we're talking about a manga that never really got a lot of attention, which just simply does not sit right at all considering how amazing Psyren is. Without a doubt, this is one of Shonen Jump's hidden gems. Nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to what this manga brings to the table, with an amazing take on sci-fi and one of the best power systems I've seen in the entire magazine. This story would be about Agaha Yoshino, who is a misunderstood delinquent. Whenever he goes out the way to help someone, it would only be seen as an excuse just to crack some skulls. But where this manga really stands out in its plot is how it doesn't shy away from the idea of the world ending due to natural causes. Toxic gas would spew into the ocean and cause it to overflow, which would make the entire human race drown. If they already don't sound screwed, there's more. There's also talks of a giant asteroid crashing into the planet and killing everyone. And on top of all of this, people would continue to disappear. Despite this entire world being doomed, Agaha would not care at all about any of these problems. In his eyes, the future would not matter at all. If it wasn't clear enough already, they live in a very dangerous world in this manga. To be more precise, they live in a world that suffers from constant discrimination, prejudice, systematic lies that turn away fortune's fools, and to make it worse, everyone lives in fear. To feed you the teaspoon, winners lie and violence is the answer. And who is here to fix this problem? We'd have none other than the occult, which would be the Psyren secret society. And if you were to pursue this society, it would be the last thing you would ever do. They would give you a phone card. And with this card in your possession, you would become a slave to none other than Phantom Nemesis Q. Figuring out who or what exactly Phantom Nemesis Q is only the start of this disturbing mystery, saying that Q brings people inside of the world of Psyren, which is nothing more than a desolate wasteland occupied by monsters and psychopaths ready to take your life. In Psyren, survival is everything, and they do anything in their power to do just that. And let me tell you, Psyren has one of the best power systems, not only for a manga that lost all of its potential, but in Shonen Jump history. I really couldn't help but compare it to Hunter x Hunter because in this series, they have such amazing abilities through their psi powers. If that's not ringing any bells to you, you can compare it to Earthbound or Mother. The standard here is force pushes, telekinesis, setting people on fire with your mind, and way more. In Psyren, fights where they mind read each other are something that you're gonna get really used to, and none of it feels gimmicky or tacked on. Really, there was a lot of depth put into this power system, with psionic powers being separated into 3 different classes known as Enhance, Trance, and Blast. You can see why I compared it to Hunter x Hunter, but really, Enhance would empower the senses and your strength, while Blast would allow you to shoot energy out of your body, and Trance can create numerous optical illusions to fool anyone you're fighting. What makes it so interesting is that not a single character fights the same. Every single fight from the first to the last is nerve-wracking. For lack of a better word, everything about this manga is just genius. Whether it's Hiryu creating a dragon out of his own mental image and attacking his enemies with its limbs, there would be a doctor that would inject himself with numerous poisons and then create mental images of moths and other insects that allow them to spread toxic gases that lets him kill with ease, and it only gets crazier from here. There'd be a character so fucking broken that just by waving his hand, he would be able to manipulate the sun and control its rays and make it so that it kills anyone he so much as looks at. And I don't care about what any of you brain dead Pokemon stans have to say, a solar beam has nothing on this because it carbonizes anyone to the bone. And there is no waiting to charge it. All thanks to their psi powers, it's not too far-fetched to say that these characters come close to the powers of gods. Easily the most damning ability of them all would be our main character Yoshina's Melz's Door. This ability would be a giant black hole-like entity that would eat away at all Psy energy, all the while being linked to Yoshina's emotions and his subconscious. Really, it's just a giant massive destruction that will erase anything that it touches, and all Yoshina has to do is think about where he wants it to go, and bam, you're dead. And with an ability this broken, there's so much more to it. When harnessing its control, he would be able to focus it in a specific area and automatically home on anything that he wants to kill, destroying someone in an instant. The power system really goes above and beyond, and I can't stress that enough. On the fly, by taking inspiration, characters in this manga can create new programs for their psionic abilities. This same ability that destroys and erases everything at a single touch can be turned into a shield that surrounds the main character and blocks out any oncoming attacks. This is how amazing the creativity in this manga is. With a power that is able to destroy, Yoshina can some way, somehow create a shield out of it. There are no limits to what the characters can do with this power system. It would get to a point where characters can absorb their own energy masses and transcend humanity by becoming psionic energy itself. And when the main character does this, he would turn into a literal death god, capable of nothing more than destruction. And on top of this, we have characters that draw and make things come to life, characters that use ice powers that allow them to skate around and use ice guns with freezing bullets. And then we would have Miroku Amagi's power, which is the Tree of Sephiroth. There's just so much here, and I haven't even talked about the story, which is the best part. If the powers are just that damn good, what makes you think the plot is going to be about? This is probably one of the most high stakes manga that I've read in the entire Shonen Jump catalog. I promise you, fights had me shook, my jaw dropped, because I just could not stop reading. There were so many life or death moments, and I literally just did not want characters to die. And that's a first for me, because I think conflict makes stories so much more interesting. They would be battling, and their minds would start to fail them, and they would be fighting a guy inside of the Psyren who utilizes his energy by shooting it inside of a gun. And this gun would take down buildings and mountains with ease. Yet all of the characters inside of the building fighting him were helpless because they had to rest from using too much of their own powers. But that's not stopping any of the villains from killing them. And speaking of villains, Miroku Amagi is one of the best villains in Shonen Jump history. He is a misunderstood human experiment who used to be a kind-hearted person in nature. He would undergo all of these lab experiments, believing that one day he could see his family. Yet years after years of undergoing outrageous torture that would be enough to drive a person insane, reality would finally hit him, letting him come to understand that everything that he knew was a lie. There was no family waiting for him outside of this horrendous torture. And with his life amounting to only being tortured and trapped like a rat, there was only one sense of action that he could do: kill everyone and everything. And that is exactly what he plans to do. He wants everyone who has wronged him to suffer just as much as he did, if not worse. Although he is bloodthirsty, there is a lot more to him than what you would think. His ultimate goal would be to create a world for all Psionists, people that can use telekinesis. And this is where the occult truly shines, because it would create people as vessels in order to make this dream come true. You would have insane people scribbling on the wall, believing that they're actually making a difference when their destiny is already played out for them. I don't mean to say too much about the plot here, but there is a lot of details that need to be mentioned. The Psyren game in of itself isn't much of a game at all. It is actually a battle of life and death, depending on the entire future of the world. You see, the world of Psyren is actually a post-apocalyptic future in which the villains actually won and created a world for Psionists by destroying the entire human race, while all of our main characters being completely helpless and not even measuring up to any of the villains when it comes to using the Psion powers. They would be sent from the past in order to fight these villains in the future. And my god, are the good guys helpless. none of them can really fight any of these overpowered scientists because they're not only outclassed in technology, but they could never compare to any of these villains because the villains would have years upon years of experience while our main characters would only have 4 days worth of training and experience. Sometimes they are lucky enough to even get a week of experience in. But do you think the villains care? Not at all, because the characters here are nothing more than lambs to the slaughter. If characters aren't killed by the villains here, they're taken in and used for human experiments, forcing regular humans to become these monsters known as taboo, giving them innate telekinetic abilities. Also, they can create this world that Miroku Amagi dreams of. There is a sick, disturbing bit of irony here. The vast majority of villains here are human experiments, and they would hate the scientists for experimenting on them and torturing them. Yet we fast forward into the future, and these people that were being tortured by scientists are now scientists who are tormenting any human beings that they come across, and they're turning them into monsters. The villains here have become the very scientists that they hate so much, and it just so happens that they're 100 times worse. Putting it into perspective, Shonen Jump has one of the best time traveling stories ever made that no one talks about. It is insanely criminal seeing how this manga gets no love or appreciation, let alone an anime adaptation. Every single choice or mistake our characters make in this story will change the outcome of the future, and we get to see it all happen in real time. To give you a better idea, Agaha would live at Elmore Wood so that he could be able to train his psionic abilities and stop the horrible future that is coming. And while training here, he would meet 5 other children that are being raised to save the same future. But let's be honest here, are children really capable of saving the world? This is the cold reality that Psyren shows us. There's not a chance in hell. In multiple timelines, these children would get killed by Miroku Amagi and his goons time and time again. But thanks to everything that Agaha does inside of the present, he's able to save the lives of these children, and the fruits of his labor would undoubtedly show, because we would see these same children that were getting killed finally growing up into adulthood and living up to their potential when it comes to saving the world. And moments like these are a really satisfying payoff for reading the manga, especially when everything about this manga's plot is so desolate and condescending. Everything around them just makes life seem so insignificant, with simple days at the pool feeling like a dream that you could only pray for, because in the back of everyone's minds, they all know that the end is coming, and every single action that they take might not fix anything. Psyren's story has a different kind of weight to it, and on the topic of endings, it's really unfortunate because this ending for Psyren just happens to feel extremely rushed. And I can't help but feel like Shonen Jump really failed this series by not letting it be as long running as it should be. With only 145 chapters, Psyren definitely had so much going on that it could have been 300 easily. If it wasn't seeing awesome fights with its insane, innovative power system, there could have been so much more character development, and the entire scope of this manga could have been so much broader, and I really wish they would have expanded on the slice of life a little bit more, such as Agaha's love life, with him immediately dismissing the girl he originally had a crush on because he doesn't really see her as a good person. And this is something that she would have noticed, but it would have never been expanded upon, which is understandable because this is an action manga, but it would have been nice to see a lot more character building, and this would go for the villains as well, as amazing as they already are. Psyren deserves an anime, and it should have gotten a lot more faith from Shonen Jump. Even for being a manga that got cut short, it's definitely one I will never forget. Once you read it, you will understand immediately why. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Right now, I'm showing you a lot more manga recommendations on the screen right now. And if you want to support the channel and join our Discord and Patreon, check them out in a pinned comment and in the description below.